think it's kind of reminded me of my time playing Dark Souls, and just like when I played Dark Souls for the first time, like it was interesting, it was entertaining, but it was just like it was something that I just could not bring myself to really get into. And then I played Hades. It gave me that same vibe of just a world that's essentially built up to make sure that you die, but at the same time, with the way it was handled, with everything that it was going on and everything, just how it played itself off, it just made me really want to play more into it, really get interested into it more.
I mean, I can see that. I don't play Souls games, so the expectation of dying, like Hades is basically my second roguelike.
Mm,
My first is, of course, my first love, The Binding of Isaac.
mm. Okay, okay.
But it's a very different vibe when you go from a roguelike to a roguelite. But Hades just instantly clicked with this very smooth movement, very nice combat that felt good.
Mhm.
And even though I was getting my ass kicked, the combat was good enough that I really didn't mind.
Yeah, and I think like, because I aside from Dark Souls, I have played a few different Souls-like games. Like I've played Shatter, Tales of the Broken King, I think is what it's called, and Kenna Bridge of Spirits. I've played those games, and ultimately, I think like I know it's an unfair comparison, but essentially this is a game that enforces like a tough difficulty on you and tells you, hey, get good. But I think at the end of the day, it was just like what puts, for me personally, Hades above those other games is just, honestly, it is just the fact of it being like, I think it's the fact of like the death not feeling like everything is wasted. Like dying in Hades is in its own way canon. Like you're supposed to die, you're supposed to fail, and the game rewards you like, okay, go back to this one place, gather your thoughts, and go, all right, let's try something different. I think I really like that as opposed to Dark Souls, which felt more of like, I guess in its own way, a classical idea of difficulty where it's just like, yep, game over, try again. And it feeling sort of like, all right, that it felt sort of like my time playing that in its own way was wasted on some level.
Yeah.
I guess that's how I feel about like Souls-like games. Is that like I like the fact that the games go for more harder difficulty, but it's just like the idea of my time and whatnot being wasted feels, I don't know, it feels bad for me.
Yeah. Like, that's the biggest thing about a roguelike, and you have to make sure that the player's time isn't wasted. Hades does that greatly by not just having one thing or another, but by having a whole bunch of things.
Yes.
Like, let me compare to a different game that was in early access for a while. Have a Nice Death. Do you know that game?
Yes.
Okay. So the biggest gist of it is the only thing that you carry over in between runs is this currency that you use to buy new items.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like having one thing to keep track of in between runs just isn't good enough. You need more, and Hades gives you more.
Yes.
Like, the characters in Have a Nice Death are written very well for what the game is, but it's also like you just walk up to them and talk to them, and then next run you talk to them again. Nothing is really ventured or gained, and it feels like when you're talking to these people, it's kind of random when they give you new little tidbits of lore or whatever.
Yeah.
Contrast with Hades, where you're constantly earning new things, learning new things. Not just about the combat, but about the characters and items and everything like that.
Yeah, it's so much like, there's so much like love put into the encouragement of failure, where it's just like, I feel like you would just be missing out on so much of it if you were to just be one of those guys where it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna play through Hades for the first time and beat it without any continues or any revives or whatever. It's just like, this game is just like it feels legitimately like it doesn't just want you to learn from your failures, it encourages it. And by doing so, it also adds in like special content for even if you succeed, even if you fail, you still get to come back, but more so you get a lot more content from failure. And I really like that.
Exactly. And that's the thing, like, it's almost like you start looking forward to dying.
Yeah.
Like, you're obviously like, oh man, I don't want to die. I'm getting farther and farther. And then you die and it's like, well, shucky darn, I guess I'll just have to go bug dad and pet the dog.
Yeah, it's just like, it kind of feels like that Ghostbusters moment where it's like, let's see what happens when we take away the puppy.